What is up, everybody? Hello, and welcome back to Two Friends Fighting. I am Jackson.
I am Robbie.
And this is going to be another special episode for you guys. Well, what happened this past weekend? We had quite the interesting event this past weekend, eh, Robbie?
Either the most amazing thing in boxing history or the absolute worst thing in boxing history. It's kind of in my opinion, it's kind of a mix-up between the two.
So we had Mike Tyson. Yes, you heard it correctly. Iron Mike Tyson at 54 years old.
And Roy Jones Jr. at 51.
51 years old. They squared off this past Saturday night. And what were your initial what's your initial reaction when you first ended up watching that?
Well, I was excited because I didn't think in my lifetime I would actually be able to see Iron Mike Tyson fight live, right? So that was cool. I think a lot of people around our age group had that same exact
going into that
vibe, right? Obviously it wasn't prime Mike Tyson, but still, it's Mike Tyson fighting live.
Yeah. So I watched this with not a bunch of people, but a good amount of people, a COVID safe amount of people.
Yeah, COVID safe, obviously.
And it was all family, by the way. So, but my cousin, my brother, we were all watching this together. And some people had some pretty high expectations. And
which I think is probably the first mistake, right? Especially when you build up something like that's that's their goal, right? Of any organization is to hype something up. But in reality, give the guys a break. They're 50 plus.
Well, me being the resident fighter in the room was hoping to curb some expectations. I was saying, hey guys, they're combined over 100 years old.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a 50-year-old look good in a boxing fight?
It's it was like the real life grudge match, the movie with De Niro and Stallone. Yeah,
Mike Tyson retired 15 years ago.
Yeah.
He hasn't fought in 15 years. Roy Jones, he actually only retired, I think, 2 years ago.
I was actually very surprised to learn that I learned that probably the day of the fight, where his last fight was 2018. I was like, wait, what the hell? He was fighting until 49?
Yeah, so I think there were a lot of mixed reactions when it came to the fight. So if you haven't seen it yet and you don't want any spoilers, I'd say click away now, or maybe just put us on mute and keep watching.
Keep the views going, guys, and still press that like button,
Yeah, remember to like and subscribe. Always helps. But so here it goes. So the result was a draw.
8 rounds of 2 minutes. It's kind of confusing because
8 minutes of boxing clinching by two over 50-year-old fighters.
A lot of heavy breathing, actually.
Oh,
you could hear it. It was palpable.
There's nothing that shuts down a room full of people faster than a boring fight.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Especially if there are high expectations for the fight. You're like, yes, you know what? Mike Tyson's going to fight. Roy Jones. Oh, Mike Tyson's going to knock him out. There's always talk when you watch it with more than one person. Oh, he's going to get knocked out. This guy's going to get knocked out. Nobody got knocked out. In my opinion, that was a complete snooze fest.
So apparently the rules were the referee would have to stop it if there was a risk of it getting knocked out, because they were putting it under something called exhibition rules.
Yeah.
Which is also confusing because
the whole thing stinks of corruption to me.
I mean, boxing can be quite rigged. I'm not sure how rigged it was.
Boxing is the most corrupt sport that there is.
It's definitely up there. The thing
What's that? Yeah, the tie, it being a tie. So me and Robbie were talking about this right before the podcast. It's okay, so traditionally an exhibition fight should be ruled as a draw.
Yeah, how many exhibitions have we fought prior to actually stepping in the ring for a section fight where it's someone wins, someone loses, but there's nothing official. Both guys get their hands raised.
But in this particular case, they got judges to specifically in a regular exhibition fight, there would be no judges ruling it a draw. So they don't even say it's a draw. Everyone just calls it a draw. It's just basically a show. It's an exhibition.
Yeah.
Right? So sort of like hard sparring, which was supposed to be the rule set. But when you bring in judges, I want the judges to do their jobs.
It leads to an expectation. And they did judge the fight. They put the judges' scorecards underneath like the results.
Did they though, or was that like the predetermined result if it went to decision?
Maybe it was already there.
Yeah, and they were So this is something that I was having issue with, is that they were broadcasting throughout like every single round. Oh, what are the odds? What are the money odds? Mike Tyson's a minus 5,000 favorite.
Yeah, how do you place bets on a fight that's supposed to end in a draw? Like, again, the rules really weren't made clear. You can't call it an exhibition and expect a win. Right? It doesn't really make sense.
Dude, imagine anyone bet on that fight. Imagine even saying, oh, Mike Tyson's winning this fight. I'm just going to throw 10,000 on him. I'll make only a little bit of a profit. Mike Tyson should have won that fight.
Yeah, I would say.
So if you bet on Mike Tyson, you should have won. You should have won money. So I feel bad for anybody who did. Who
could have lost upwards of 10 grand? Because like the thing about boxing is it's the sport that brings in like the heavy bettors, people who will drop 10 grand on this fight, potentially losing a lot of money.
Especially because some bookies will take bets like halfway through the fight. So they were broadcasting the live odds. Yeah. Right. So you could have bet on Mike Tyson to win in the 7th round. You could have said in the 7th, after the 7th round of fighting, like in between when they go back to their corners, I'm gonna throw some money on Mike Tyson. He's gonna win this fight by decision.
Probably caused a lot of rich people with some deep pockets a pretty big upset. You're gonna hear about that. Well, we won't, but someone will. Yeah. That news won't get broadcasted.
Nobody's happy with a draw except for Mike Tyson. Did you see the end where Mike Tyson was interviewed?
I'll be honest, I turned it off after that. I didn't want to watch anymore.
Yeah. So Mike Tyson, he was interviewed. The guy comes up to him. He says, "Hey, so what do you think of the draw?" He's like, "Oh, I'm happy. I'm happy with that draw."
I'm Mike Tyson. In reality, though,
it is what it is.
The guy hasn't fought in 15 years, and to come out with not a loss at 54 years old, losing all that weight, getting back into an older man fight shape, like I mean,
and you know what? Like, okay, so obviously I'm hating on this event because I mean it was a terrible fight. It ended in a draw. It seemed like it was corrupt. Mike Tyson probably should have won the fight. But Mike Tyson actually, and I'm not saying he should jump in against like a Tyson Fury or anything like this, or like a Deontay Wilder or any of the big names. Absolutely. But he looked pretty good for 54 years old. He looked good.
He was still moving, like he still had the Tyson head wobble. Like he was moving his body, he was weaving.
If Roy Jones didn't engage in the clinch so much, I think we would have had a more entertaining fight.
Probably, but I think that was also Roy Jones realizing that this is still Iron Mike Tyson,
he hits hard,
cement hands.
Oh yeah.
For those guys who don't know, who live under a rock and don't know Roy Jones Jr., has several world titles, so he's no slouch. Also, you might also know one of the most ultimate pump up songs in history of songs is "Can't Be Touched." Yes, he's also a rapper. If you haven't heard that song, well, if you don't know who it was by, like it's, in my opinion, actually one of the best pump up songs you can get. Can't Be Touched.
There you have it, folks. Robbie Moss seal of approval on Roy Jones's rap career there.
Yeah. Right in front of Remember the Name by Fort Minor.
Ooh. That's an oldie. Oldie but a goodie.
Yeah, honestly. But outside of, Roy Jones Jr. does things outside the ring. Was fighting until 49 and didn't get knocked out by Mike Tyson. All good things to go on his resume, regardless.
Yeah. But we also had a co-main event.
Oh dear.
Co-main event fight for all of the hype boys and the people that followed the Paul brothers, Jake Paul.
It was a fight for the gram, and you know what? They did it right. They sold the event. They put Jake Paul, one of the most hated people in the world, and he knows this. 23-year-old YouTuber from Vine.
Well, he's kind of like, he's hated and he's loved at the same. Like people, there are some people that watch him.
There's no such thing as bad press. There's no such thing as bad press. He fought Nate Robinson,
a retired basketball player who's never fought before.
No, it was his pro debut in boxing, because you can just go pro when you want. Unfortunately, but kudos to for those guys who don't know, Nate Robinson, being like 5'10", 5'11" in the NBA, he's actually the shortest person to ever win the slam dunk competition.
Yeah.
So never take that away from him. That's pretty impressive, because some guys go in there who are like 6 foot.
Yeah, but he got knocked out by Jake Paul, man.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. And
unfortunately,
that's going to be a meme for a long time.
Jake Paul's had years of training now in boxing. Both of them, him and his brother, have had a couple of competitions now.
Well, I know Jake Paul has only had one pro fight.
Okay, one fight
before this, so I'm not sure about amateur.
But him and his brother have been boxing for a couple of years.
They've been training boxing for a long time, both of them. Yes.
And Nate Robinson probably just called him out. Hey, I'm gonna beat this guy up, right? They set up the fight. They call it a hype fight.
It sells tickets. But something I saw today, because I didn't know who Nate Robinson was prior to this event. I assumed, to be honest with you, I assumed he was a different guy off of Vine or YouTube or something like that.
Yeah.
That saw the fight.
That's what Jake Paul's last fight was about. Oh, I just smoked the mic there.
I think Logan Paul also did something like that too. He fought a different guy from YouTube a while back.
Yeah.
So I thought Nate Robinson would be another YouTube guy. Turns out he was in his 30s.
What do you think about NBA these player. Like YouTuber star fighting?
I mean, they're athletic, so if they actually train and can do it. But it kind
of puts a bad name on boxing, though, when you have like the biggest sold pay-per-view fight being...
Going back to what you said, though, it's a corrupt sport. Yeah. And it's what's going to sell. It's marketability. These are guys who are names. But I looked at yesterday, Nate Robinson.
What does that say about like the sport of boxing when people don't really care about guys who are actually good at boxing? They just care about like watching random guys fight, basically. It
means the guys who are in charge are getting paid.
Yeah.
They don't really care about the honor of the sport.
I think that speaks to, like, me personally, I'm not super duper interested in the sport of boxing either. I think that it can get a little bit boring, especially at the higher level where guys are just trying to not lose, where they're fighting very defensively. Then it goes to the judges' scorecards, and everyone's always like, how did this scorecard even happen? Like the scores are always like ridiculous on a boxing card, right?
Well, it's hard to pay attention for like 12 rounds sometimes. For sure. I would get tired as a judge.
Yeah. And you have like guys, like promoters like Oscar De La Hoya, who's like the promoter for Golden Boy. This guy is going out to dinner with the judges before the night of his guy's fight.
Yep.
It's like, what do you think's happening there, guys?
That's the game, man. That's the game.
Yeah.
It's marketing. It's corruption. It's who's got the deeper pockets sometimes. Sure, a fighter might actually just be good and be knocking everybody out, but you can never be sure. We're not saying every boxing fight is corrupt by any means. We're saying what we think we saw.
Are we though?
Well, you might be, but again,
I don't know. I don't know if every fight is corrupt or not, but like too many are.
Regardless for what happened, Nate Robinson may have been the one to call Jake Paul out. He may have been the one to get knocked out pretty badly. But again, I checked because I looked him up. The day before the fight, he'd probably had 600,000 followers on Instagram. I looked today.
Nate Robinson did?
Yeah. Okay. I looked today. 2.5 million followers.
Why?
Bro. Hey, like I said, no press is bad press. He's a meme now. And it's not a good meme, but look at his following now.
But why would you follow a guy who just got knocked out by the Jake Paul? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
I can't tell you that. I can't tell you why. People are dumb. They'll follow it.
You know who you should follow? 2 Friends Fighting.
Oh dear God. Yeah, that too. Yeah, follow the podcast. Share it with your friends. You can hear us talk about what we think about YouTube stars who are younger than us making millions of dollars doing stupid shit. Because I don't follow Jake Paul on Instagram, but I obviously looked him up. You can still search him. He's posting about after the fight, at the after party. Well, there is absolutely no such thing as social distancing going on at those parties.
I know, yeah.
Hotel room.
In America, there's like...
people are loving it up.
What the Americans are doing.
Yeah. At least I think that's what I saw on Nate Robinson's Instagram. Like, I'm pretty sure it was definitely not 2.5 million followers the day before that fight.
No way. But anyways,
even Jake Paul gained an extra
where do you think Mike Tyson goes from here? Do you think either one, Mike Tyson or Roy Jones, do they fight again?
I mean, depends what they want. I think it was. It
seems like they're trying to set up a rematch because they always do that. They always call it a draw, then they get a rematch.
They very well could. I mean, typically these things go to like a triple, like a three-way fight, but we'll see. Because Mike Tyson made $10 million a fight that night, and Roy Jones Jr. made $3 million.
Wow!
For what, 16 minutes of fighting?
Yeah,
that ain't bad.
I mean, at the end of the day, like, good on them. Like, make your money if you can.
I would.
For people that didn't like the fight, though, like, maybe don't watch the next one.
Yeah. Hey, I'd take 500,000 to go in.
We're kind of degenerates, and we'll watch any fighting competition.
But again, I'm also a fan of Mike Tyson, though, because in his prime, man, he was world champion at 20 years old.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? Like, I was getting a C average in university when I was 20 years old. I was not world champion, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Still not world champion. Like 20 years old. What is that? I mean, well, we know what that does to you. You ended up in jail and buying a tiger. Like,
yeah.
But,
yeah, well, so for any of those who ended up paying for that pay-per-view event, we are extremely sorry for you.
I wasn't paying for that. I watched it in a sketchy way because obviously I did the stream, but it was like everyone logged on when the fight was going to start for Mike Tyson and Jones Jr.
Yeah.
So it would skip every now and then. It wasn't the best.
I've never heard of that, Robbie.
Yeah.
I go through the traditional pay-per-view model.
Oh, you're one of those guys.
We
allegedly
we may or may not have allegedly watched a stream.
I didn't want to pay Triller to watch this fight, so didn't care much for it.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on that event we just saw on the weekend?
I have a few things to say about Jake Paul. Do you see what he said after his fight?
No.
He called out Conor McGregor.
Oh.
He was the second professional boxing fight, and he called out Dylan Dennis and Conor McGregor, saying he's going to knock out both of them. And then a little bit later, off the screen, he called out Floyd Mayweather. Like, talking guys top of the game, right? Like,
way above your name.
Unbelievable. Like, at least get to
work your way up a little bit.
But I get it. But
just beat a retired basketball player who's never fought. How are you going to beat a world champion level? Maybe not Dylan Dennis. He's a jiu-jitsu guy. Maybe you could beat him in a boxing match. I don't know.
Maybe, but he's still in Bellator. He still has to strike.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. All I will say, it will be extremely bad in the sport if he does get a fight with Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
Because of his like YouTube stardom.
Yeah, but we did have a pretty good rap concert though, mixed all the way through. I want to give my shout out to Snoop Dogg, formerly known as Snoop Lion.
Probably one of the best commentators I've ever seen.
I actually don't like his commentary. I don't like his commentary because he almost gets too wild.
You know who was doing bad commentary? Was Israel Adesanya.
You didn't like it, eh?
The worst commentator I've seen.
I didn't even hear him. I couldn't hear
He barely said anything.
He didn't really say much.
Just the worst. And what he did say was just like, what the f are you talking about?
You don't like Israel Adesanya?
I like watching him fight, man. He's good.
Yeah,
he's good. I just like
just
stop talking though. Just fight. Don't talk.
Yeah. Well, at least we had a good concert in between all the fights.
Yeah. One of our buddies, Tommy, went on our group chat and said, "I like how this rap concert has boxing fights in between songs."
Yeah.
Seriously though, like, oh, dude, from the time that the co-main event between Jake Paul and Aaron was like done, it took them an hour to start the next fight. It took them, and there was an hour between fights.
And that's boxing too. That's boxing. That's what they do. They drag it out for so long.
There's like 5
Their
fights.
Walkouts all have to be like the biggest spectacle ever, except for Mike Tyson. He did the classic walkout.
Yeah, he did. He
no
did it right.
cornerman by his side.
Yeah, well, I think that's how everyone did it this time because of the COVID rules.
I don't know. I saw Roy Jones. He was walking with people behind him.
No, Roy Jones didn't walk with anybody, or at least they're far behind him. But even Nate Robinson, Jake Paul, they didn't have anybody with them. I think that was COVID rules.
Okay.
But that was Mike Tyson's style back in the day. Walk out by himself, kick some ass.
Yeah.
No, it was just a damn shame. Was like we're in our group chat with our friends. Like, oh my god, they're dragging this out. I'm falling. My girlfriend fell asleep before the fight even started.
Yeah.
She was out cold. On my leg was numb. I was like watching this fight. I'm like,
hey, boxing, do better. Just do better.
I don't know. Like, obviously, it's a very old sport, very deep steeped in tradition. But like, maybe just speed it up a little bit. You have to realize, especially nowadays when TikTok's a huge thing, people lose their attention spans are like 7 seconds.
Oh, I know.
No one wants to wait an hour between fights.
Yeah.
Even the UFC drags it out like they're maybe like 20, 30 minutes in fight. That's still too long for some people, right? They get tired.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, maybe don't like do better by going a little bit faster. Don't have to drag everything. I guess I get it. They have to like probably fill their pay-per-views and do their commercials and whatever else. But man, just a little bit faster would be great. An hour between fights is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh well.
In my
hopefully
opinion.
Next one's gonna be better, guys, and we'll definitely cover the next one if Mike Tyson does end up fighting again. Roy Jones, I don't know. He's not. he's not as desirable by like the mass audience.
No, he was breathing heavy too. But what I will say though is the event hosted.
I think he really made that fight boring too.
Maybe it was a style. He used to have a really great style, but again, he's 51. So
they're both over 50.
But what I will say is they did a really cool design of the place. They had the ring, and then outside was like they made a bigger ring of the lights. So I thought that's something they do really well is create the spectacle, create the show. I'm sure it must have felt amazing for the fighters because they had to fight with no audience, and even the rappers had to perform for nobody. So at least they did that well.
Yeah, they did. They did put on quite the show.
Yeah.
All right, though. Well, I think we broke that event down pretty well there, Robbie.
Yep.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed our breakdown. Hopefully boxing gets back up on some good legs, and maybe they start cutting down that wait time in between fights.
Hopefully Jake Paul doesn't actually get to fight Conor McGregor. Or if he does, or if he gets to fight Dylan Dennis, hopefully he gets knocked the F out.
That's not happening.
But hey, in terms of
the UFC doesn't sign guys that can't fight.
Yeah. And
the UFC is not going to let one of their guys go fight Jake Paul in a boxing fight. I don't think so.
They did sign CM Punk.
True. True.
Don't forget about that. You can't forget about that.
He only fought one time, though.
Yeah, against Mickey Gall, he made his UFC debut and kicked his ass.
Yeah.
So, I think every organization will have their moments where it's like, who's going to make us some money? And that's how it'll be.
But thanks for watching, though, guys. This has been fun. Another fun episode where we get to talk a little smack about the boxing fights this past weekend.
About the fight game, unfortunately, and I was fun for me because I got to watch the UFC on the TV and the boxing on the laptop.
Yeah.
So that was fun. It was like a combat sport addict, just like can't get my fix here, got to go over here. It was like double screening. Felt like a gamer with like 7 screens.
Yeah. 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 You kind of have to, right? Where you don't know which. If you have 2 events that you want to watch at the same time, that's the thing about live sports, right?
I feel bad for the UFC fighters having to go on that night. It's like, oh man, we're fighting the same night as Mike Tyson. No one's gonna watch this shit.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Especially with Derek Lewis falling out of the.
Yeah, well, Derek Lewis couldn't fight because I think unfortunately Curtis Blades tested positive for COVID. Unfortunately, so hopefully he has speedy recovery. Yeah. But on that note, kudos to Anthony Smith. He showed up. He bumped from the co-main to the main event last minute, which means he had to fight an extra 2 rounds. Didn't matter though because he finished straight away.
None of you watched that fight. Everyone was watching the Mike Tyson fight.
Well, right? Again, it goes to show Mike Tyson 54. He still has that draw, man. He's got that star power.
Yeah.
And again, Jake Paul, Nate Robinson wasn't a good fight, but guess what? People tuned in, whether to watch him lose or win or watch whatever happens. Whether you hate them or love them, you're gonna watch them.
Yeah.
No such thing as bad press.
For sure.
Thank you everybody for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you like this video, please share it so we can get this podcast.
Give us a like up for the longest outro of all time, everybody. I mean,
I can't stop.
We were trying to end the episode probably 10 minutes ago, but I mean, we had to keep going. There was too many things to talk about.
I got too many opinions going on here.
But anyways,
thank you guys. We'll actually end it this time. Thank you guys for watching.
Hold on, one more thought, Rob.
Oh, good God.
Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Jackson.
I'm Robbie. This is 2 Friends Fighting, guys. Peace out. Of course, that is a handsome, pretty sentence, so there was this decline right there. It's like, oh, that's the same thing.
I'm handsome, I'm pretty, I'm attractive, beautiful.